All right, today we're diving into Stoke Space. This is a company that's tackling the single biggest problem in the entire space industry. And it's a problem that if they can actually solve it, could completely change, well, everything about how we get to orbit. You know, it really all starts with this one big question. I mean, we've been launching rockets for over 60 years now, right? So why does it still feel like we're stuck in first gear? Why is it such a monumental effort every single time just to get something off the planet? Well, the answer is what you could call a ceiling on the whole space industry. There's this massive, and I mean massive, bottleneck that's holding everything back, from scientific missions to new commercial ideas. So let's break down what that bottleneck actually is. Okay, get this. Right now, the entire world's commercial space industry pulls off about 150 launches a year. Now you might think, hey, 150 sounds like a lot. And yeah, it's a record. But when you think about the global economy, it's a tiny, tiny number. It just screams that access is incredibly restricted. But that number doesn't even tell the full story. A huge chunk of those 150 launches, they're all for one project, Starlink. So for everybody else who wants to get to space, this creates a huge availability crisis. It drives the price through the roof and forces everyone to fight over the few remaining slots. So here it is. This is the heart of the problem. The single biggest reason for this bottleneck is the disposable second stage of the rocket. Seriously, imagine building a brand new Boeing 747, flying it from New York to London just once, and then just ditching it in the Atlantic Ocean. That is literally what we do with the most complicated, most expensive part of the rocket almost every single time. That's the ceiling we have to break through. And that, right there, is where Stoke Space and their crazy brilliant solution come into the picture. They're not just trying to shave off a few percentage points on cost. No, they are fundamentally redesigning the whole system to get rid of that unbelievable waste. Let's take a look at how they're doing it. This comparison just lays it all out, plain and simple. We've seen companies like SpaceX absolutely master landing that first stage booster, which is amazing. But the second stage, the part that actually gets all the way to orbit, it's still just thrown away. Stoke's entire mission is to bring that second stage home too. And that, my friends, is the holy grail of rocketry, full reusability. So their system has two key parts. First up, you've got Nova. That's the big booster, the workhorse that does the heavy lifting to punch through the thickest part of the atmosphere. And then you have Andromeda. And this is really the star of the show. It's the upper stage, and it's designed not just to drop off its payload, but to survive re-entry and come all the way back home from orbit. So the big question is, how on earth do you get a spaceship back from orbit without it just burning up into a spectacular, expensive fireball? This is where Stoke's engineering gets really audacious. It is all about surviving the fire. I mean, just look at these numbers. They're staggering. Andromeda has to slam on the brakes from over 17,000 miles an hour. While doing that, it has to deal with temperatures of 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hotter than molten steel. Current second stages don't even try to survive this. They're literally designed to be vaporized. Stoke's solution to this is just incredibly clever. Instead of a shield that ablates or burns away, or fragile tiles that need tons of work after every flight, Andromeda has an active heat shield. It actually pumps super chilled liquid hydrogen through tiny channels all over its surface to soak up that insane heat. Then, for the landing, it uses a ring of 24 small thrusters to steer itself to a soft pinpoint landing. And the whole point of all this incredible technology? It's to finally achieve what's called aircraft-like reusability. The goal is to treat a rocket not like a disposable bullet, but like an airplane. You land it, you refuel it, you do some quick checks, and you send it right back up. That's the game changer. But look, revolutionary hardware isn't enough to pull this off. What really seems to set Stoke apart is their entire philosophy. It's a culture that is built from the ground up for speed, and that's where they're building their real competitive edge. This quote from one of the founders, it really gets to the heart of what drives them. This isn't just about building a cool piece of tech or a business. It's a mission. It's this deep conviction that this idea is so important, they have a responsibility to humanity to at least try it. And you can see that conviction in their story. These weren't just dreamers. They were top-tier propulsion engineers at Blue Origin. They saw this problem and felt nobody was tackling it with the urgency it deserved. So they quit those comfortable jobs, put everything on the line, and literally started out by building a prototype engine in a backyard shipping container just to prove it could work. So that must-do attitude translates into a pretty radical strategy. First, they are absolutely obsessed with speed, slashing test cycles from what takes others months down to just days. Second, they're making almost everything themselves, in-house, so they have total control. And third, they're building the software, this thing called Boltline, to manage what they plan to be an entire fleet of reusable space vehicles. So when you put it all together, the crazy new hardware, the high-speed culture, the smart strategy, you start to see Stoke's ultimate vision. And believe me, it is so much bigger than just building a better rocket. And this is the key. You have to understand, they don't really see themselves as a rocket company. They see themselves as a logistics company. They're building the infrastructure, the delivery trucks, the shipping lanes, the ports, for a whole new economy in orbit. The rocket is just the vehicle that makes it possible. And this, right here, is the perfect analogy. They want to create an iPhone App Store moment for space. Just think about that. Before the App Store existed, who could have possibly imagined all the apps we can't live without today? By making getting to orbit cheap, easy, and routine, Stoke is betting they'll unleash a tidal wave of creativity and new businesses that we can't even dream of right now. And that really is the final, most exciting question to think about. If getting to space becomes as normal as booking a cargo flight, what kinds of absolutely crazy ideas are going to pop up? What new industries will be born? That's the future Stoke is working to build. And it's a future where, for the first time, the sky really isn't the limit anymore. Presented and created by Norn Studio.